Hi, everyone. If you can hear me, give me a nod or a thumbs up, and or leave a comment if you're live on Facebook. We're going to wait just a couple more minutes to see if we have a few more people hop on. Um, so if you hear me, let me know. Otherwise, I'll try to change my microphone a little. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Can everybody on Facebook hear me all right? Can I get a thumbs up or a heart if you can hear me on Facebook? Awesome. Okay, it sounds like there's a little bit of a lag the um, between me and what's popping up on Facebook. So I'll try to be a little bit slower when we do our games. We are going to do a couple games today um, throughout our YQA, and so I hope you guys are able to participate in those as we go. And without further ado, I'm going to jump right into YQA Level 1. Okay, so what is quality assurance? You can type in the chat box or the comments and give me an idea of what you think quality assurance is. Any ideas? Good. Making sure our animals are in good condition. That is definitely a big piece of it. So, um, the quality piece is making sure that our products are good to eat, they're safe and healthy, they taste good, and that they are tender. What does assurance mean?
A guarantee.
A guarantee. Good. So, assurance is a pledge or a promise to our consumers that we are going to do everything that we can to produce a good quality animal. So the food from our livestock will be the highest possible quality, and we will do everything we can to make sure that these products are safe to eat. All right, who is familiar with Kahoot? We're going to start off with a Kahoot game. So there's two options to play this. You can either go to kahoot.it on a device or a mobile or a web browser and put in this game pin, or you can also just play by watching the screen, and you can answer in the chat box or the comments. I'll wait just a few minutes for those that want to join on Kahoot to log in. Otherwise, if you don't want to log into Kahoot, feel free to just answer in the comments or the chat box.
What do we type in for it?
The game pin is
Wait.
77. You can go to kahoot.it, and the game pin is 7788438.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Were you able to hop on?
Yeah, I'm just doing it.
Awesome. There is a little bit of a lag between the Zoom and the Facebook, so bear with us. Be patient. There's going to be a few spots where it takes us a minute to get things going. All right, can everybody see the Kahoot? Okay, we may just skip this. We don't have anybody in, and so we can't play until we have at least one player. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the PowerPoint, and we can play the Kahoot at the end. Um, we'll see if we can get it figured out. So until then, we're going to go back to our PowerPoint and we'll see what we can get figured out for Kahoot later. All right, so quality assurance is a promise or a pledge that we will do our best to keep our animals safe and healthy, and that we will make sure that the products are good for our consumers to eat and that they are products that our consumers will want to come back for. Why do you guys think quality assurance is important? You can put your answers in the chat box or comment on Facebook. I will be trying my best to watch the comments on Facebook. Why is quality assurance important? Anybody? Quality assurance is important because it helps improve the overall food quality. It improves the care and management of our animals. Good. Dally says it's so the buyers can get what they're expecting. To make sure you're producing a good product so that animals are healthy and the meat doesn't get people sick. Those are all good things. So it helps us also helps us avoid drug residues in our meat, and it increases the overall product value. There are lots of different packers that require their producers to go through quality assurance before they can sell their meat or before they will process their meat. Does anybody recognize any of these brands? So some of these brands are brands that we may buy on a regular basis at the grocery store, and some of them we may not use. Um, but it's kind of neat to know that other producers are also required to use quality assurance to make sure that the meat we buy at the grocery stores is also safe to eat. So why do you guys think quality assurance was started? Why did we start doing quality assurance? People may have gotten sick. That could be part of it for sure. Why else?
To give people what they're expecting.
Good, to help make sure we get people what they're expecting. So our consumers are expecting safe, good quality meat, and quality assurance helps us make sure that we can guarantee that. So before quality assurance was started in the 1980s, there were injection site lesions, which we're going to see in just a minute. Drug residues were found in the meat. There were also broken needles found in the meat, and there were bruised carcasses and poor quality meat that had to be thrown away because of improper handling. So as you can see here, here's a couple different examples of some injection site lesions. So this is where a shot was given and an abscess formed. Does that meat look like it'd be good to eat? No, it doesn't. It doesn't look good at all.
No.
So this meat has to be thrown away. Same with this meat. This is some scar tissue from an improper injection, and so that meat also had to be thrown away. Okay, so now that quality assurance has been around for several years, there are much fewer drug residue levels. They're much lower, far fewer injection site lesions, and animal handling practices have improved overall. Do you guys think that now that all of that has improved, we should quit doing quality assurance?
No.
Good. We should keep going with quality assurance. Do you guys think that quality assurance is just for 4-H and FFA kids?
No.
No.
Good. It is for lots of different people, not just 4-H and FFA kids. So different producers have to take this as well, different versions. So we should keep doing quality assurance because food safety is very important to consumers. Quality assurance is the way that we can tell them that we're doing everything that we can to make sure that the food is safe for them to consume. Who is responsible for quality assurance?
Us.
You are. Good. Who else is responsible? The producer is? Yep. Who else?
How do you put this out?
Butchers and the packaging people? Good. So everyone is responsible that comes in contact with that animal. So the producer, the packer, the retail and food service, and even the consumer is responsible for good quality meat. Everybody involved is included in that. So that even includes the consumer who is going to buy the meat or possibly eat meat at a restaurant. They're still part of the, they're still responsible for quality assurance. Okay, so this here is called the Food Supply Continuum. And we're going to play a game. This one is not included in the trivia, and so hopefully it'll work a little bit better than the Kahoot did. When we do play this, there is a lag between Facebook and Zoom, so I'm not sure that I'll see everybody's answers from Facebook before we move on to the next question, but I'm going to try my hardest to be on top of watching the Facebook answers as well. Okay, so we're going to play Food Supply Continuum Trivia. The way this works is you're going to answer the question in the chat box. There will be 4 options, and you can answer the question in the chat box, and then we will pick your answer, and you'll see if you got it right or wrong. Okay, so the first question is, which segment is responsible for safe handling of the meat and milk products in their homes? The consumer, the harvester, or packer, transportation, or processing? The consumer is good. All right, which segment is responsible for raising the animals? Harvesting or packing plants, processing, producer, or consumer? The producer is good. Which segment carries the animals or milk from the farm to the market? The consumer, producer, transportation, marketing, and consumer, or transportation? Good, it's C. Which segment harvests the live animals and converts them to carcasses? The producer, transportation, marketing, and consumer, the consumer, transportation, or processing? Not processing. Oh, it is processing. I don't know why it called that the wrong answer. Which segment makes retail products such as pork chops, steaks, sausages, cheese, and ice cream? We're going to go back. I misread that last question. Which segment harvests, the keyword is harvest, the animals and converts them to a carcass? Transportation, consumer, processing, producer. Oh, the right answer is not on here. That's why. It's the harvester. Which segment makes retail products such as pork chops, steaks, sausages, cheese, and ice cream? Transportation, consumer, harvesting or packing, or processing? It's processing. So the difference between harvesting or packing plants and processing is the harvesting would be um, gathering the product, and so it, or in the case of the meat animals, it'd be butchering, or in the case of milk, it'd be milking. And then the processing is taking the carcass or the milk and turning it into an end product. Which segment must follow food safety and cleanliness guidelines when they prepare and serve food to other people? Food service, consumer, harvesting or packing plants, or processing? Good, food service. Why is it important for all segments to work together? A mistake at any point in the chain can affect the entire chain and result in a bad experience. Consumer, producer, transportation, marketing, and consumer. Good. If any piece in the chain is broken, this food supply continuum, it can result in a poor end product. As a 4-H and or FFA member, which segment are you? Processing, consumer, harvesting or packing, producer, transportation, marketing, and consumer? Good. You, as a 4-H member, or you and your family together, have the ability to be in several different parts of these, and you could even be in the harvesting and processing side too if you didn't sell your animal at a livestock sale and chose to harvest and butcher your animals yourself. Thanks for playing. Okay, we're going to go back to our PowerPoint. And talk a little bit about each of these pieces. Who here is a consumer? Good, we're all consumers. We all consume some sort of a product, whether that be meat or dairy or eggs, we're consuming some sort of a product. Who is the producer?
Us.
Good. We are the producers.
Us.
We are raising an animal for a consumer to eat. Who is in charge of transportation?
Us.
Good. So you probably are going to have a little bit of help with the transportation, right? I don't think most of us first-year kids are going to be able to haul a truck and trailer, but our parents or an adult that's helping us will help with transportation. Are you in charge of marketing?
Yes.
Yes. So selling your animal at the livestock sale is a huge part of your experience, and a good way to have a positive experience is to do some marketing ahead of time. What are some ways that you can market your animal to potential buyers that may come to the livestock sale?
Invite people to the sale.
Good. You can invite people to the sale. Do you think if you
Set up.
personally went in and to invite somebody to the junior livestock sale, they would be more likely to want to purchase your animals?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, handing out a flyer is a good idea too, because you can put a picture of yourself on there, and then the buyer can associate your picture with you when you are in the sale. They'll remember you. So that goes a long way. So you're in charge of marketing, and that can be a huge help when it comes to going to the sale.
Mm-hmm.
Who's in charge of harvesting?
The processor.
A lot of times it is the same. So our packing plants are also our butchers and our processors. And so when you take that animal and drop it off at your processing plant or your packaging plant, they're going to harvest the animal, but then they're also going to break it down into an end product and process it. So some of our animals may or may not end up into the retail food service. It depends on who buys our animals or if they go to resale. And if that happens, the meat from your animal may end up on a grocery store shelf in retail. And at that point, it may end up in food service or go directly to the consumer. So these two pieces don't always happen. Sometimes it goes straight from processing to the consumer, and sometimes it does fall into these two pieces as well. All right, so as a youth producer, it's important for us to understand that the people that are going to buy our meat have the right to expect a safe product that is wholesome for them to eat. It's also important to realize that even if you're just raising one or two animals, you are just as responsible to meet the consumer or your buyer's expectation as a producer who raises one animal, 10 animals, 100 animals, or 1,000 animals. So you are responsible for the end product of your animal, regardless of how many you raise. It's also important to know that every producer, especially those in the 4-H and FFA programs, everything that you do can affect the livestock industry as a whole. If we have buyers that are not a part of the livestock industry come and buy our animals and they have a bad experience, do you think they're going to have a good or a bad opinion of the livestock industry?
Bad.
A bad, good. So what we do, because we have a little bit of a publicity on our livestock sales and our livestock shows, what we do affects the entire livestock industry. So it's really important that we do our best, not just because we want our consumers to have a good experience and to come back and to be safe, but also because it can affect the livestock industry as a whole. And quality assurance isn't just a class that we take to sell our animals, but it is a way to help us learn practices that are beneficial to our animals, beneficial to ourselves, as well as beneficial to the people that are going to eat our meat, whether that's your family or a potential buyer. So what are some of your rules in quality assurance?
Handling correctly.
Handle correctly.
Feeding them correctly.
Feeding them correctly, good. That's a huge piece. We want to make sure that we feed our animals a good quality food and that they get enough nutrients. What else is part of your responsibility in quality assurance?
Make sure it's healthy.
Make sure it's healthy, good. You want to watch your animal every time you feed it and make sure it doesn't have any signs of being sick. How else can you help make sure that you're producing a quality product?
You handle it well.
Good. We want to handle it well. We want to be careful when we're handling our animals. So everything that we do has an effect on that, and we're going to talk a little bit more in detail in all of these. So your role, and we're going to focus on daily care and management today. Your role is to provide good housing and facilities, feed and water, and make sure your animals have proper identification. So there's a few different types of identification, but first we're going to talk about why it's important that our animals have identification. Why do you guys think it's important to put some form of identification on our animals?
Maybe so if it gets jumbled up, you know which one's yours. And yeah.
Good, to make sure that you know who the animal belongs to. Why else is it important to identify our animals?
If something happens to it, you know which one it is.
Good, so if something happens to it, you can keep records. So if you have to give medication to your animals and you don't have identification, it's hard to maintain good records of those medications. It's also important because it can help us with having good management practices. It can help us keep track of weights, feed, how much we're feeding our animals, average daily gain, what type of feed we're feeding, what types of supplements we're feeding. It just helps us maintain good records and management. So there are a few different types of identification, and I'm going to put them all up here. And I want you guys to tell me if they are permanent or temporary.
Ear notch is permanent.
An ear notch is permanent, good. What about a brisket tag? Is a brisket tag permanent or
No,
temporary?
it's permanent.
It's
no. Oh, it's temporary.
good, it is temporary. What about a tattoo? Is that permanent or temporary?
Permanent.
Good. What about an ear tag?
Temporary. Temporary.
Temporary, good. I see in the comments that a brand is permanent, good. What about an ankle band?
It's temporary.
Temporary, good. So the top row are all permanent and the bottom row are all temporary. There's also one more type of identification, and it's electronic identification. In Wyoming, we use RFID tags for electronic identification. So your animals will probably end up with an ear tag, but it will have an electronic component so we can scan it. All right, so we're going to learn a little bit about pig ear notches and do some practice just for fun. Some of your pigs may have ear notches and some may not. It's not always common or popular in show pigs, but in large farms, it used to be popular to help maintain good records. Now in large farms, a lot of times they just use paint sticks to maintain those records, and they don't ear notch every little pig. So when we are looking at the pig from the front, the right ear is the litter number. So if we have 100 sows, that means we could have 100 different litters. And so we're going to number those litters in the order that they're born. We're also going to number each piglet in those litters. So each litter hopefully will have more than one piglet. And we're going to use the left ear when we're looking at them to determine what number that piglet was born. So the bottom side of the ear closest to the face is 1, and then 3 as we work our way out towards the tip of the ear. And then on the top closest to the tip of the ear is 9. And that is the same on the litter number. On the top closest to the pig's head or their face is 27. And if the whole tip of the ear is notched off, that is 81. Do you guys have any questions on ear notching? We're going to do some practice here in just a second. No questions? Okay. So here's a practice one. We're going to look at this pig, and there's no notches closest to the bottom on the face, but there is a notch on the bottom closest to the tip. So that we know is what?
No, 3.
3. Good.
3.
So we've got 3. And then there is a notch
9.
on the top. Good. So it's 9. And then on the other side for the piglet number, we have 2 notches in the quadrant closest to the face.
It's 1.
1. So we've got 9 plus 3 equals 12. So this was the 12th litter born. And 1 plus 1 equals 2. So this was the second piglet born in the 12th litter. Do you guys want to do another practice?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to turn my camera on, stop sharing, so that you guys can see as I hold up a practice. So what do you think this pig is? Whoops.
No, 9. 27. What's 9?
Good. There's 9 plus 27 plus 27.
So 30. 63.
63. Good. Okay, and what piglet number is it?
Yeah, 9.
Good. 63, 9. We'll do a couple more just for fun. All right. What litter
9
number is this pig?
9 plus what's the other one? 3, I think. Then wait, what's that one? 1.
Good. It's 13, 18. So we have 9 plus 3 plus 1 equals 13, and 2 in the 9 slot equals 18. What about this pig?
It's 27. Let's either try 7 or 9. Oh, these are 27s, yeah.
55, 4. Good. So we've got 27 plus 27 plus 1 equals 55, and 1 and 3 equals 4. Good job. All right, we're going to go back to our PowerPoint. And talk a little bit more about daily care and management. So one of the most important pieces in your daily care and management is feed and water. It's important that you feed your animals every day. How many times a day should you feed your animals?
Twice.
Good. At least twice a day. So it's good to feed your animals at the same times every day too. So if you feed your animals at 6 in the morning, it's good to feed your animals at 6 at night and to do that every day at the same time to help keep them on a good schedule. When we're looking for feed for our animals, it's good to read the label. Why do you think it's important to read the label?
Feeding instructions.
Good. Feeding instructions. It's also important to make sure that we use a high quality feed and that we offer lots of fresh, clean water. Yes, it's also important to read the label so we know what is in our feed. Good. So every bag of feed that we purchase should have on the label a list of ingredients, which tells us what's in it, a feed analysis, which breaks down the nutrients that are in the feed, how much we should feed, as well as if the feed is medicated. So our feed label tells us lots of great information. Do you guys think it's okay to feed our pig food that was made for our steer?
No.
No. What about our sheep? Can we feed our sheep steer food?
No.
No. Good. They all need different nutrients, and so if we don't feed the feed the way that the label says, our animals aren't going to get the nutrients that they need. And some of those nutrients may be harmful to our animals. So the feed tag is also going to tell us if it's medicated and what animals can consume that medication, what the medication in the feed is, and give us any warnings about the particular medication, and most importantly, a withdrawal time for that medication. What is a withdrawal time?
How long it takes for it to get out of their system?
Good. The withdrawal time is the amount of time it takes from when the animal is given the medication to when the milk or the meat can be harvested or used without any drug residue left. What is a drug residue?
The drugs, the stuff that's inside them, that's the drugs.
It is part of what's in the medication. So a drug residue is the portion of the medication that remains in the body tissue. So when you take vitamins, or when your animal eats vitamins, or when you take antibiotics, they take different amounts of time to leave your system. So it's true for nutrients as well as antibiotics or medications. And so we want to make sure that all of that medication is completely gone from the animal's body before we harvest the milk or the meat.
Okay.
It's also important to use a high quality feed because we want to make sure that we're meeting our animals' nutritional needs. What will happen if we don't meet those nutritional needs?
They will not be healthy and get sick.
Good. They won't be healthy. They might get sick. Do you think they're going to grow all of the muscle that they need?
No.
Nope. They probably won't. Do you think that they might not have enough energy?
I don't think they'll have enough energy.
They might not. Good. So it's important that we feed a quality feed made specifically for our animals to make sure that they're getting all of their nutrient requirements. We also want to make sure that the feed is clean and free of wire, manure, and mold, and that we store it properly. What happens if we don't store our feed in a clean, dry place?
It'll maybe get moisture in it and then it'll mold.
Good. The feed can mold if it gets moisture in it. Why do you think we should keep our food away from rodents?
They might put diseases in it.
Good. They can spread diseases. So mice carry some zoonotic diseases, and zoonotic is a really big word that means that those diseases can go from one species of an animal to another. So it can go from a mouse to a pig or a mouse to a steer. And so we want to make sure that we're keeping our food where it can't get contaminated. Why do you think we should keep our food from other animals? Say you have pigs and steers. Why do you think you should keep your food where the other animals can't get to it? Good, it could make them sick. So some of the feed has different nutrients that can be harmful to other animals. And so it's important to make sure that our animals can't get into the wrong type of food. Why do you think we want to make sure that our food for our animals isn't old?
Because then it might mold or get the wrong, or the nutrients might get, I don't know, mostly mold.
You're on the right track. So it could mold, but also the longer that the food is stored, those nutrients become less available. So the nutrients kind of fade away, especially vitamins. They can fade away the longer the food sits. So if your food is old, it probably won't have the same nutrients as when it was made.
Okay.
All right, what do you guys think the most important thing we provide for our animals is?
Water.
Water. You are right. So we want to make sure that we always provide plenty of fresh, clean water to our animals. How many days can an animal live without water?
3.
1 to 3 days. Good. So it's really important to make sure that there's lots of water available so that your animals have that available to them if they need it. Well, they do need it every day, but you don't want them to run out. It's also important to make sure that you clean their water. What happens if you don't clean their water bucket or their water trough?
The maybe mud and stuff will get in there and it'll make them sick.
Good, they can get mud in there. They might get sick. What else might happen? Have you guys ever left something in the rain with rainwater in it and it starts to turn green?
Ew, that's moss.
Bacteria or algae can grow inside that water after a while, especially when it's warm out. So it's really important to make sure that the water is cleaned often. All right, let's talk a little bit about housing. So usually if we were meeting in person, we would do a fun activity talking about overcrowding, but we can't do that. So it's really important to think about how much space your animals need. So if you and your family all had to live in your bathroom, would that be enough space for your whole family?
No.
No, but if you guys can move around your house, that doesn't feel crowded, right?
Yeah.
So the same thing is something we need to think about when we're building our pens for our animals. If we're going to have more than one animal in there, we want to make sure they have enough space to move around and that they aren't overcrowded. And we want to make sure they have plenty of clean, dry bedding, especially when it's cold outside. What happens, it's snowing here, or it did snow here. What happens if their bedding gets wet and it's cold out and snow?
They get wet and then they start getting cold and they start shivering.
Exactly. We want to make sure that we keep them warm and dry so that they don't get sick. And then we also want to make sure there are no nails or sharp objects sticking out. Why do you think we want to make sure there are no nails or sharp objects sticking out?
Maybe if they get cut, maybe if it's rusty. it could make them sick, or it could like tear some tissue and make the arm not look as good.
Yep, that could definitely happen. What else might happen? They could get
Oh,
hurt. They could get an
yeah.
infection. Good. Um, so they also might end up getting a bruise. What happens if, how long do you think it takes for that bruise to heal?
Maybe it does it. I don't think it goes away because it can bruise the meat.
Yeah, it can bruise the meat, and it takes a really long time for that bruise to heal. 2 weeks is a good guess, but it takes a lot longer than 2 weeks. Any other guesses? I'll give you a hint. It takes more than 1 month.
3 months.
3 months, yeah. It takes about 90 days for a bruise to heal all the way. So if our animals get bruised during the summer, that meat's not going to be good when it comes time to harvest. So we want to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure that our animals do not get bruised, because we want the meat to be a good quality for our consumers or for our family. You may be eating some of the animals you raised, and so you want to have good quality meat for your family as well. And then it's also important to clean the feed bunks and the water troughs. We already talked about that a little bit. We don't want bacteria and mold to grow. So when we are thinking about our housing for our animals, we want to make sure to think about extreme elements, which can be sun, snow, rain, heat, cold, any of those things. And so if you live somewhere where it's really hot, it's a good idea to provide some shade, maybe a fan or a mister for your animals to help keep them cool. But also in the winter, if you have animals like this time of year, it's important to have them have available someplace warm for them to stay.
Okay.
So prevention is key in quality assurance. We want to prevent problems before they happen. And this will help make our quality assurance more effective. So we want to make sure our family knows about quality assurance and what we're doing. We want to have a plan as a family to make sure that everybody knows what animal is getting what feed and what animal needs medication or doesn't need medication.
Okay.
We want to maintain proper IDs and keep records. So you want to keep records if you give your animals vaccines or medications. And then most importantly, watch for signs of illness. What are some signs of illness?
Maybe they're not eating or drinking and just are laying down and not doing anything.
Good. They might stop eating or drinking, and they might not want to get up. They might not feel very lively. What are some other signs of illness? Do they get droopy ears?
Yeah.
Sometimes they do, yeah. What else might be?
Their eyes might water up.
Good. They might have watery eyes. They might have some diarrhea. They might
Coughing.
start to go bald. They might cough. They might have a runny nose. There's all sorts of different things that we can look for. What should we do if we notice signs of illness?
We should find out what it is and try treating it.
Exactly. We should ask for help. So your parents might be able to identify what it is and help treat it, or if your parents aren't able to identify it, you can call a vet. Should you call a vet, or should you have your mom and dad call a vet?
Mom and dad.
Good. You should probably have your mom and dad call.
Why not you, Mom?
So, what was that? I couldn't quite hear you. Dally, I think you had a comment.
I think he's good. Thanks.
Okay. All right. And then we also want to avoid contamination of feeds, which we talked about rodents having zoonotic diseases. So we want to develop a plan. So it's important to know if your animals have been vaccinated or if they need vaccinated and when they were vaccinated. And then it's also important to keep a proper feeding schedule, which we talked about twice a day, and how far apart should we feed? At the same time or at different times every day?
At different times every day.
Are you sure?
Oh, wait. No, at the same time every
Good.
day.
Yep, we want to try and feed at the same time every day.
I thought you were meaning like feed them then, and then right after feed it then.
Oh, that was kind of confusing. Yeah, we want to make sure to feed them at the same time every day.
Okay.
And then we also want to make sure that we follow good quality assurance methods at all times and ask our vet for help if we need. We're going to do a quick review. What is quality assurance?
Quality assurance is to like make sure your animal's healthy.
Good. Yep. So it's a promise or a pledge to the consumer that the animal is a good product and it's safe to eat. Why is it important?
To get the people what they expect, like
Good. We want to
good
make
quality meat.
Yep, we want to make sure our consumers are getting the meat that they expect and that it is a good quality and that it's safe to eat. Who is responsible for quality assurance?
Us.
Good, we are. Who else is responsible?
Everyone who deals with the animal, and
Good.
it's
Yep, everybody who is in contact with that animal. So we're responsible, our parents are, the consumer is, anybody that helps with that animal. What is one type of identification?
brand.
A brand, good. Ear tags, that's another good one. What's another type of identification?
Can I say it?
Yep,
Tattoo.
a tattoo, good. All right, what is one thing we want to look for when we're feeding our animals? What do we want to read?
The labels and it's all its nutrients and see if it's the right feed for your animal.
Good, we want to read the feed label for nutrient information and what animals can eat it. What else does the feed label tell us?
How long it goes through their system till it comes out.
Good, the withdrawal time for the medication.
Yeah.
Should we put all of our animals in our bathroom?
No. You have to have them
No.
in a space that they feel comfortable in and that they have space.
Good. We want to make sure that we don't overcrowd the pen, that they have plenty of room to move around. Good job. Okay, so that concludes our quality assurance for the day. I do have Kahoot pulled up. If you would like to stay and play a Kahoot, you are more than welcome to. If not, you are welcome to go. Make sure if you need credit for this class with your educator, for those of you that aren't from Park County, please put your name and your county in the box, and I'll make sure that your educator knows that you came tonight and participated. And if you would like a link to the recording to this, you can leave your email and we'll make sure to get you a link to the recording.
Okay. So did the Kahoot pin change or?
It did change, yep. So I've got a new pin. I refreshed the Kahoot. I'll pull it up here in just a second.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right, can you see the Kahoot now?
Yeah.
We're going to get started with a new game pin.
I'm covered as a sea lion.
Oh, it started without us. Okay, this is a portion of medication that may remain in the milk or animals' body tissues. Drug residue, good job. Caring is one of the 6 pillars of character. True or false?
Okay. Yes. Oh. Quiz. The last time. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Dang it. True or false? Um,
Good job, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight. I hope you all learned at least one thing. You guys are free to go, and I hope we'll see you again sometime on a Zoom.